Good morning and welcome to another great edition of Money Truth Moments with our very own Money Truth expert and whisperer, Judy Copenbarger. How are you?
I am great coming to you from Texas today, y'all. we're
What a
at, we're
beautiful
in
view.
Central Texas. Yeah,
What
that's
a
the actual view. That's the yard.
wow. It looks like a painting actually, from what I
Isn't
was
that
going to ask,
great?
is that real or not?
Well, one of them's a painting and one of them's real. What do you think?
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah,
Well,
but
I'm glad you had an opportunity to join us, even if it is from Texas. That shows the dedication Judy has for you guys to make sure that you guys stay on track. Today, we're very excited because we're bringing you guys a new episode. And today, we're going to be talking about the hidden costs of summer that families forget. So that's going to be one that you need to share out. Grab your pen, grab your tablet, and make sure you take some notes because this is going to be a good one for sure. So, what do you say we get started, Judy? Because I know we always run out of time.
let's do it. Let's go.
All right. So, in this episode, we're going to learn about summer expenses and the commonly overlooked seasonal spending that affects our financial stability. So, I'm going to begin by asking you, why do so many families feel financially surprised by summer every year?
Yeah. Well, everything's a little bit less predictable. The routine is gone. Kids are out of school. We're traveling. We don't even have kids in school, right? They're long, long gone out of school, but we're traveling. So here I am in Texas. 2 weeks ago, I didn't know that was going to happen. And so that's unpredictable, right? Which is kind of the fun part of this time of year. So I think it's even more true for people that have kids, school aged, where the cycle goes around the school year, and that's impacted. So unpredictable summer, unpredictable schedules, surprises, invitations at the last minute, things like that will happen. That's going to impact the bottom line.
So, I think also one of the things that folks forget is, or most folks, how come people don't think vacations, or they think vacations are the biggest summer expense?
Well, it's not just the vacation, it's the daily impact on the bottom line that goes with vacation. So it's not just the airplane tickets and the Disney passes and all that stuff you're spending money on, it's the daily stuff. So if the kids are home from school, there's probably more snacks. There's more trips, downtown. They're going to their friends. The friends are coming over. We're spending money on popcorn, movies, going skating, all those things. And when you're in your routine during the school year, you know what's going to happen. You know that Tuesday is soccer, Thursday is gymnastics. We're going to have tacos that night, hamburgers that night. We're going to be, doing our church potluck, whatever it is. You have a routine. And in the summer, you don't have a routine. So it's easy to just have that money slip away if you don't plan. But this is about planning. So we're gonna get into some tips to help you do that.
And folks, if you're just joining us, welcome to the show. Please make sure you're following Judy at judycopenbarger.today, where there's a lot of great content on our website. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. I want to keep going with this because this is always very important, and I don't want to run out of time. I think the big question too, it's that surprises a lot of people is like, what's those hidden summer costs that catch families, pretty much off guard the most?
Yeah, there are the hidden ones. And we've done shows and podcasts on the obvious stuff. You're going to have daycare be a little bit higher, maybe, if mom and dad are both working. Now we've got to, what are we going to do with the kids? Maybe there are camps, things that school programs during the summer, there's travel, there's all of that stuff. Those are obvious, but the little things, the kids are home now. So they're consuming more electricity, right? Because they're home. Before you had 8, 9, 10 hours a day where they were like out doing their sports and their school stuff. Now they're home and they're on their computers, they're watching the TV, they're doing, whatever they're doing, charging up their devices more. The electric bill may be higher. If they're out in the pool, you might have more expenses, associated with the pool. They're taking more showers, right? They're home more often. So things like that. There might be more food because now they're consuming at home, where before they had a school lunch program where they took their lunch. Well, now they're snacking because they're home all day, things like that. Entertainment, maybe there are more subscriptions happening on the TV for their shows or their sports or the things they like to watch. Entertainment, it's things like, let's go horseback riding, let's go roller skating, let's go, my friends are going to go, whatever they're going to do. And there's these little tickets, miniature golfing, right? All that stuff happens usually more in the summer because we have the time. And so that's going to have an expense with it. But the hidden costs, I think, are those things like utilities you don't even think about. More transportation back and forth, to do their activities. Things that are unexpected. But there's a way to plan for that. We'll get into some of those thoughts.
It's funny. I'm going to rewind one of our previous episodes that you talked about, and you gave us a challenge to look at subscriptions and all that. And
Mhm.
I want to tell you, I actually went through my challenge, and I was just
Right.
came to realize, my gosh, I'm like have subscriptions that I totally forgot about.
Mhm.
So it's one of those great things that, and I'm bringing this up because folks, you're going to stick around for the challenge because I'm telling you, you guys got to do them, and it's going to save you a ton of time, energy, and less headaches in the long run, which that did for me, and it was an eye opener.
Carlos,
And
do
so
you realize what happened? You just saved money, which means that's like Ben Franklin, right? It's like making money. So you're welcome.
all right.
You're welcome. You just made some money.
I
Good.
had to share that
Great.
because you just brought up subscriptions, and I'm like, I keep forgetting to bring that up. But
That's
um,
great.
let's talk about seasonal spending and how can families just better prepare for it.
Okay, the planning part. I love that part. I think if you just have kind of a benchmark, you have like an alley, you have a lane. When you take kids bowling and they blow up the bumpers with those air things so the ball can't go, down the bowling alley into another lane. You're still bowling and you could still strike out or you could still make a gutter ball, but you're not gonna have a big disaster with your bowling ball in somebody else's lane, jumping or wherever the ball might go. So you stay in your lane. So that's what planning does for you. You stay in your lane. And I think one rule of thumb would be if you somewhere between 10 and 20% more every month that you allot, and not for your whole big budget, because your housing is not going to change. Transportation might vary a little bit, not a lot. Most things won't change. Your fixed expenses will be the same. But the flexible expenses, these are the things like meals out, entertainment, travel, the fun stuff that just makes life so amazing to live. Those are going to be different in the summer, and likely they'll be higher if you don't plan. But you can plan to do all those wonderful things, even the things you don't know what they're going to be. In 2 weeks, you're going to do something you didn't plan for, right? That's how life is, especially this time of year. What are those things? We don't know. What are they going to cost? We don't know. But if we already have some money set aside so it's not a surprise and it doesn't end up on the credit card, where a month or two from now you're like, oh, I did it again. I have this debt. I really didn't want to deal with that, especially now, school starting and all that. So plan, and you can decide, is it going to be drastic? If you have several kids, it might be maybe 20% more on the flexible part. So let's say you have a $5,000 a month budget. I mean, it might be 500, might be 50,000. I don't know, but let's say it's 5,000, and the flexible part of your spending is maybe 1,000 of it. Allow for 1,200 instead of 1,000. That gives you that little cushion to do the things that are going to happen that are going to cost money, but you don't know what they are yet. Now you already have it built in. It's like your miscellaneous bucket just got bigger for this specific purpose. And that does a couple of things. One is it keeps your debt from accruing. It also gives you peace of mind that when those things come, I can do it. But I think more importantly, it gives you the mindset that I can do it. There's not all this pushback. I just had a client meeting yesterday where they're struggling with the pushback of, scarcity mentality. We can't do it, kids. We can't do it. No, we can't do it. We can't get the smoothie. We got to carry our own water. We can't get, wait till you get home because of that mindset. So what we worked on in this meeting, and I think it's great practical advice for most of us, is it's okay to spend that money if you have already planned in your mind. You've blown up the bumpers on your bowling alley. You know you're not going to go out, but there's that little extra already allowed for things we don't know what they are yet. And some people have the personality, they have to know everything on the line item and what it's called. Well, it's called we don't know yet. It's called a variable. It's called miscellaneous. It's called extra family fun, right? Whatever it's called. And we're going to have the money ready and set aside and planned for those things when they come up, so we can freely say yes. It's okay to get the smoothie. It's okay to go bowling. It's okay to do the things that we want to do because we've added that extra money into our spending plan. It's not going to have to be taken from somewhere else. We've planned for it. So if that helps you guys, Great. I think it's just great general advice. And usually in a marriage, there's at least one person that has that kind of, I got to hang on to it, I can't spend it mentality. You don't want your kids to get that mindset, scarcity mindset. You want them to get the mindset, I'm choosing. We have $100, we can spend it, we can save it, or we can do something with it later. We can plan for it. You want your kids to learn how to make those choices because that's going to make or break them later when it's their own money, right? And we can model that for them now and plan and have a great summer and do all these wonderful things. So hopefully that will be some advice that you can hang on to or pass along.
And that's great advice. And one of I want to give you a follow-up question, but the example you just gave is that scarcity mindset. A lot of us growing up, we had those parents that everything is safe, 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 hang on to what you have, and that's what you kind of grew up with because we don't know any better, right? But it's also even some of the young folks I see now, some of them are carefree, they work, they work hard, play hard, but then they don't have money at the end of the month. They just have everything to cover their bills, right? So there's got to be that fine medium. And then how do we teach these young adults? How do we teach even some of our older adults about that mindset, that scarcity mindset that you're talking about? Could you expand a little bit on how we can make that happen?
Of course. Yeah. It's just balancing. And that's where a little planning comes in. Intentional thinking about what do I want my money to do for me? Some people call me the money whisperer. I kind of like that one. You tell your money what to do. So every dollar has a role. And its role might be to cover the expenses this month, make sure the lights stay on and the power stays on and the water keeps running. The role of every dollar might be, maybe its job is to go sit for a while until we need a car repair or we need to replace a vehicle, right? And that dollar's role will be part of the other dollars that march along, and they're going to go, make sure that you have transportation that's reliable. Maybe that dollar is going to sit for a long time and go to work and turn into more dollars that's going to help cover your retirement one day. So every dollar has a role, and we can tell it what to do. Whisper, right? Whisper to the money what it's going to do. And so you can do that. That's just the planning. You give every dollar a role. Some people struggle with every dollar has several roles. Like they can have lots of jobs. They can't. They can only be spent one time. They can only be allocated one place. So that's where the planning comes in. What does this dollar need to do? What do these $10 need to do? What do these $100 need to do? Thousands of dollars. We give them a role and be intentional about that. So it's just a matter of setting out, what do I need? The money that I have and the money that I will have, what do I need that to do for me? And then that comes down to, we've talked, many times about now, soon, and later. Expenses right now, what I need to keep my life going, my lifestyle going, goals that I have in the short term, and then long-term retirement and the money. Later I might need a bucket of money. We always want to have that reserve. Might be legacy money that we want to leave to our family. But there's now, soon, and later money. But you got to think about it. Be intentional. Give every dollar a role, and that will just take so much pressure off. Having, not only about the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset and all of that black and white, but it just gives you some intentionality with your money, purposefulness in money. And it takes a little time. For some people, there's a barrier where it's just a negative conversation. For me, I don't like dealing with technology and anything you have to plug in and charge. I have experts that help me with that, right, Carlos? But for some people, the area of life is money. They feel like they failed. Maybe they grew up where there wasn't enough. I mean, there might really have been a scarcity. Or it's just a negative conversation. Maybe there's been adversity around money. Maybe there's been shame, guilt, mistakes, failures around money. So overcoming all that, that's mindset, right? That's just mindset, money mindset stuff. But once you decide you're going to be successful, you're going to take your family on a journey that ends up in a good place financially and enjoy the journey along the way, not deprive yourself and save everything for later, because then you get a bum knee or you die before you can spend it all. And I've dealt with families like that. They saved it all, left it to their kids. They never even replaced the bathrobe that has holes in it, right? Why not? You have the money. Some people do that. They save everything. Like you said, families can do that. Others spend everything. And so they never have anything for later. And then they get, 60, 70, 80, and they just can't stop working. They're always struggling. Our family has to, take care of them. So it's somewhere in the middle. And that's where planning can come in. What do I want my outcome to be like? What are my goals? What kind of assets do I have to get there, or will I create to get there? And then you just do the journey. It just takes a little planning, a little confidence to look at it and then deal with it. Maybe it takes professional help. You know, if it's something you need someone to help you with, get someone in the industry that can help. I would say put a team in place, but you can do it. The bottom line is wherever you are on that spectrum, I save everything, I spend everything, I don't know what I'm doing, I need help, or I just need a little, like another pair of eyes. Wherever you are on that spectrum, there is help available, and there are concepts and tools available. That's what Money Truth is all about. That's why we did this. We've got podcasts and we've got websites and all kinds of tools to help you wherever you are. If your budget is $500 a month or $50,000 a month, it doesn't matter, maybe more. I've got clients with more than that. It's the same idea. You're going to grow your money. You're going to protect your money. You're going to steward well. You're going to achieve your goals, whatever they are. They might be modest. They might be grandiose. The concepts are the same. There are only half a dozen concepts in financial planning and strategic planning that you need. And if you don't violate those little like cardinal rules, you'll always be successful with your investments and your protection, and you'll never implode financially. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but it's like, blah, it just kind of came out. So I'm relaxed. I'm in Texas. So.
You know what? I appreciate that because you covered a lot of ground, and I think that's key to a lot of folks listening right now on things that we don't really think about, you know. Yeah. And I think it's also to the point where why some of the best memories cost very little money, right? Yeah. We forget that.
Yeah. And that's what it's about. You know, when we're thinking about summer spending and we don't want to overspend, all you really want, if you got the whole family and got them around the dining room table, or we have couch time at our house, you can get around on the couches and then everybody's on the floor and in the living room. And you just say, what's your perfect summer? When school starts again, what do you want to say made it the perfect summer? And it's probably not going to be all the big ticket items. There might be some of those. Well, I always wanted to go to Fiji. I always wanted to go to, the Disney cruise or whatever. Well, that's great. And maybe this year's the year for that. If it's not, but what is it that you want? And it's going to be words like, I want to be with my friends. I want to connect. I want to be with my cousins. I want to connect. I want to have a relaxing time. That might be the mama. Just send me to the spa. Take me to the beach. It might be, I want adventure. I had clients just the other day saying that, he's like, I really want to golf. I want to have a golf budget, but he deprives himself. This is like that scarcity thing, right? I don't want to golf because the kids need this and they need that. And I don't know. And I need my money to grow and I'm worried about retirement. You know what? The money is there. Your money is making the money now. You can go golfing. So let's take this amount of money and you can spend $500 on a green fee, or you could spend $50 on a green fee, however many times. But here is your budget, Dad, because you're the one providing and doing all this hard work. You need to take care of you too. Right? So it's all those things. And it's just planning, it's delegating the dollars, giving them each a role, assigning them, whisper to the money, all of that stuff. So the outcome that your spouse and your whoever else is making, money decisions in your house, your kids, the outcome they want is going to be those things, intangibles. I want to connect. I want to have fun. I want to relax. I want to have adventure. I want to have a new experience. I want to have a story to tell. Then you find things that maybe don't cost a whole lot of money to achieve those goals and those outcomes. Maybe we just need to go, what we did when the kids were little, every July 15th, we had it on our calendar. I still have it in my head and it's been 40 years, right? We'd go down to a certain creek in a certain town that had pollywogs and frogs. Exactly then. That's when there's still pollywogs and all the frogs are starting to, turn into frogs. And you go catch them. And you come back and you stick them in the pond, and then you get to hear that sound in the evenings that we love so much for the next several months until they hibernate or go wherever they go. Maybe the birds get them. I don't know. But that would be our thing. It didn't cost anything. And they still, when you talk to the kids, all in their 30s now, they still have great memories of doing that. Now we're talking about taking the grandkids. Well, that's tromping around with your mud boots in a little creek And it's funny because it's all, urban around there, but we know where these little places are. It's just such a great experience. So it doesn't cost anything. It's great memories. Anything you can do out in nature. Obviously there's national parks and there's city parks and regional parks. Sometimes you have to pay to get in. If you go the right time, you don't. You can always ask for a discount or the free day. There are library programs, city programs. There are so many things that are cheap or free. If money really is tight and you don't have that extra 20% for flexible spending, go find those things. But remember, the outcomes are going to be the intangibles. I want to learn something. I want to go somewhere. I want to have a new experience. So it doesn't have to cost a lot. You can manage your spending plan. Some people call it the B word, budget, right? You can manage your spending plan and still have a great outcome for everyone in the family. So just do that.
And folks, we are over our time, but we still have to squeeze this in. All right. What do you got for us on our challenge today?
The challenge. Here we are, mid-June. If you're already into your summer, what I'd like you to write down as a challenge is any expenses that have surprised you already this summer. And any expenses that you've had that are extraordinary, but you expected. What did I be surprised by? What did I expect? This is going to help you do more, better, different for next year. If you haven't started your summer yet, if the kids just now got out of school, then think about last year. Last year, when you were thinking about the money situation at the end of the summer, what surprised you about that spending? And what did you expect about the spending that you had planned for? Write that down. That's your challenge.
All right, folks. And remember, we are here every Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. with the replays on Thursdays at 8 p.m. And if you're not following Judy, shame on you. No, I'm kidding. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.today. So until next week, please make sure you guys stay safe. Next week, we're going to talk about financial peer pressure. So you definitely want to, share that and make sure you tune in for next week. Any last parting words, Judy?
Oh, have a relaxing, beautiful, locust-free week. That's what I plan on doing. God bless everyone.